Good morning, everybody. Boker Tov. Let's start. B'siyata Dishmaya. Can you hear me? You're able to hear me, Chevron? Give me a thumbs up if you could hear me.
We can hear you.
All right, great. B'shayfar gadol lechiruseinu b'sanis lekabetz galu yuseinu b'shayfar gadol lechiruseinu b'sanis lekabetz galu yuseinu v'kabetzeinu yachad me'arba kanfais aretz le'artzeinu v'kabetzeinu yachad me'arba kanfais aretz le'artzeinu Teka b'shayfar gadol lechiruseinu b'sanis lekabetz galu yuseinu Teka b'shayfar gadol lechiruseinu b'sanis lekabetz galu yuseinu Teka Kabetzeinu yachad me'arba kanfais aretz le'artzeinu v'kabetzeinu yachad me'arba kanfais aretz le'artzeinu Let me tell you why I'm really, really happy this morning, everybody. I'm like extremely happy this morning. I think it's because, first of all, you don't have to have a reason for real simcha. That's what, first of all. Second of all, is because my Chevron and I, my team and I, are currently fully immersed in probably one of the greatest privileges anyone could ever ask for. All day long right now, since the beginning of the week, we are busy being in touch with Jews all over the world that are reaching out and responding to our posts and saying, listen, we hear the calling and we want to come home and we want to be as, best prepared as possible. And here are issues 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. How can we make this work? And that's what we're busy with right now, literally from morning to night. And this is a dream. So that's enough a reason to smile a gewalt. Okay, let's sing this one more time and daven real strong. That Teka b'shayfar gadol lechiruseinu sanis lekabetz galu yuseinu Teka b'shayfar gadol lechiruseinu sanis lekabetz galu yuseinu v'kabetzeinu yachad me'arba kanfais aretz le'artzeinu v'kabetzeinu yachad me'arba kanfais aretz le'artzeinu וקבצנו יחד מארבע כנפות, מארבע כנפות ארצנו. Okay, I want to sing one more nigun in honor of just what's in the air. This is a very old nigun from Rav Shlomo. I believe he wrote this on a trip to Buenos Aires, actually. So I always have a very close connection to it. וקבצנו יחד מארבע כנפות ארץ לארצנו, 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 וקבצנו יחד מארבע כנפות ארץ, וקבצנו יחד מארבע כנפות ארץ, ay la 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 la, bam 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 bam, do 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 ay la 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 la, ay la 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 ay la 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 ay la 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 ay la la וקבצנו יחד מארבע כנפות ארץ, וקבצנו יחד מארבע כנפות ארץ לארצנו. Welcome everybody to, I think this is episode, chapter, whatever you want to call it, number 7 in our learning of Rav Kook and the city of Chevron. This has been one of the most, bemet, the most exciting things I've ever learned. One of the most greatest privileges to be learning this with all of you. Bichlal, to learn about Rav Kook is amazing. To learn about Chevron is amazing. To learn about the kesher between them both together is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to bring us to date where we are. We're right now talking about Rav Kook in the time of post the Praot, post the riots. We already established that after the 1929 riots, the Slabotka Yeshiva was not going to go back and be in Chevron. Rav Kook had said, they asked Rav Kook, what should we do? Should the yeshiva go back or not? Should it go back to being in Chevron after the 1929 riots? Rav Kook says, no, that's a hachlata for the Rosh Yeshiva. And they decided to relocate to Yerushalayim and stay there, and the Chevron Yeshiva is there till today. This is the original Slabotka Yeshiva, right? That came from Lithuania. So, in order to understand where we're at today, post-1929, we learned last week that 6 months after the massacre, a group of, I think it was 60 or 70 Jews went into Chevron to really collect any blood that they could find in order that blood came from Yidden, to have it buried with the Jews that were massacred, as well as getting any of the belongings that were still there. So Chevron remains desolate from Yidden from August 1929 until April 1931. But let's explain slowly what that looks like and who came back And we're going to see something, some very, very interesting pieces of information today. And we get to look at the faces of some really far out tzaddikim. Really far out tzaddikim. The tzaddik in front of you right now that you'll see on your screen is basically one of the main reasons that we were able to come back then, and probably also that we're able to be there now. So who is this person? And what is he kashur to Chevron? So this is a big tzaddik named Rav Chaim Bajayo. Who's Rav Chaim Bajayo? Rav Chaim Bajayo is a tremendously important figure. The grandfather of the person that you're looking at right now, I believe, I was doing a lot of research on this, and there are a lot of conflicting pictures here and statements, but I believe that the person you're looking at right now, his father or his grandfather, was a tremendously big tzaddik, and he was the one to purchase karka, to purchase land from a famous Arab family in Chevron. He purchased 5 dunam in 1807. He purchases land in Chevron, and the area of the 5 dunam that he purchases is where the current Kasbah in Chevron sits today. But now, there's a lot to talk about Rav Chaim Bajayo and his family. He basically was the head of the Kihila of Yotzei Sfarad and Portugal in Chevron. And he's the one that buys from this family this 5 dunam. But his whole story of how he got to Chevron, it's a whole story on its own. That maybe we'll leave Bezrat Hashem for a whole series that people that are much more qualified than me can do, like Rav Simcha and our other Chaverim. But for all intents and purposes for today, I want to explain the context of the shir, because today we're trying to understand what happens in 1931, and the connection to Rav Kook. So in 1807, this Rav Chaim Yeshua Bajayo, he purchases this 5 dunam, and then a few years later, in May of 1811, Rav Bajayo purchases a larger purchase. He purchases 800 dunam of land in Chevron. And that's the land, that's the area of Tel Romeda. That's, if you know a Chevron, you start off, Ras Machpelah, you keep on going, on your right side is Avram Avinu, Shechanat Avram Avinu, you keep on going, on the right side is Beit Hadassah. Then you keep on going up and to the left, and all the way up, and that's Tel Romeda. And who's buried in Tel Romeda is the Kvarim of Yishai and Ruth. We just had Shavuos. We just read Megillat Ruth. And he purchases that land in 1811. And in fact, what's really cool is that we have the stars, how do you say shtar? We have the shtar kinyan. This is the legal document of purchasing. We have these. This is one of the shtarei kinyan. As you see, it's all in Arabic because it was bought from Arab families, from the purchasing of these lands in 1807 and in 1811. So his grandson, Rav Chaim Bajayo, that was the picture that you saw right before. If you can go back to his face, Rav Bajayo, okay? He, under his leadership, after Pesach 1931, so the Jewish settlement of Chevron is reestablished, and it's under his leadership, and 200 Yidden come back to Chevron, and they are dwelling mainly around the area of Beit Hadassah. And the times then were extremely, extremely difficult. It was absolute chaos in Eretz Yisrael. But in Chevron itself, for the Jews there, there used to be a bank there when the Jews lived there before 1929. That's gone. So many different things that would aid any normal civilization, any healthy society, it was all gone. And the Yidden there suffered tremendously from health issues, financial issues, security issues. It was very ra'ua. It was very, very, very shaky. This is a picture of Jews living in Chevron in 1931. This is Chevron life, 1931. This is a group. This is from the group of the 200 people that came back and settled in Chevron. And Rav Kook, of course, is keeping a kesher with whoever's there. Now, mind you, one more important thing, that this reestablishment of the settlement of Chevron was not supported by mainstream establishment in Israel. Remember, we learned this 3 weeks ago, that there were all these meetings taking place with Rav Kook and Rav Meir Bar Ilan, Yitzchak Ben Tzvi, all the Chevron, Karen Kayemet, they're all trying to figure out, like, how come the world is not coming to help us? And why is it that the fund for the rebuilding of Palestine, or whatever that name was of that group that was raising money to help with post-riots, why wasn't there wasn't a push to go back to Chevron? And they were very against it. And Rav Kook, as we heard and as we learned so many times, Rav Kook was screaming out and saying, En sikui, there's no way that we can abandon. There's no way we can abandon Chevron, and we must go back. And he gave that whole drasha and the ruach of Kalev ben Yefuneh. So Rav Kook is always pushing to go back. So the first 2 years, very, very difficult there. And then in the summer of 1933, Rav Kook is 2 years before his Ptira. But in the summer of 1933, Rav Kook comes and he visits and he tries to give chizuk, and he comes to the groundbreaking ceremony of the Talmud Torah. This is a picture of the Talmud Torah in Chevron, 1933. This is, they greeted Rav Kook, who came. We don't have as far as I know, we don't have a picture of Rav Kook at the ceremony, but Rav Kook was here at this ceremony in 1933. Look at these precious kinderlach. Talmud Torah Chevron, Taf Reish Tzadik Gimel. But there's a person that I really want you to look at over here, and that is the teacher in the back, because we're going to be speaking about him. This teacher's name was Yitzchak Bon. I went really deep into this guy to try to figure out who he was. And we're going to hear in a moment testimony from him. He later on, this Yitzchak Bon was a person that was born in Poland, 1915. And at the age of 6, in 1921, his family moves to Eretz Yisrael. And he was raised in Motza. Motza, as you know, when you go up from Tel Aviv to Yerushalayim, Motza is on the right side by Beit Zayit, that beautiful, gorgeous area. Motza, we also learned, was one of the centers of the riots which took place in 1929. One of Rav Kook's best friends was killed in those riots. I forget which Rav it was. It was a Rav of Tel Aviv that came to visit I believe his daughter and her family. And this Yitzchak Bon, I'm just estimating, this picture is taken 1933, so he's quite young here. I mean, he's got to be like 18, 19 years old over here. Nachon? It's very interesting. So he saw what happened in Motza in 1929. He's very much affected by it. Later in life, he becomes a pretty well-known author, writing books. I found some of his books. He writes books for children and for adults. Hutar Lavo is one of them. The next one I think had to do with the Kotel. Leada Kotel. He's a very, very special guy. And he, for many years, was a teacher in Kfar Saba. And he passed away in 1993. But I want you to go back to him for a second and go back and look at this Yid's face, because this is something very, very important over here. Based on testimony that we have from him, he describes what happened on this day that you're looking at right now. This day was a real attempt to reestablish the continuity. This day that happened over here was an attempt for the Toshavim themselves, for the people themselves, the people of Chevron, to feel that we're really back, give them the confidence. Remember, most people that were there before 1929 are either dead, still injured, or not back. This was a new dwelling. It was a whole new world for them. So this Yid over here, this teacher in the back, I want us to read his testimony of the day that Rav Kook comes to visit these Kinderlach. So you'll have it in front of you in just one moment. Thank you so much, Shimon. And this is what he says. בקיץ תשצ"ג הגעתי לחברון כממלא מקום המורה שחלה. Yitzchak Blon says, I came in 1939, the summer 1939, I came to Chevron to come and fill the spot for the substitute, I came as a substitute teacher for their teacher that was sick. Matzati sham gishuv dal, I found a very poor settlement, כ-30 משפחות, 30 families. בבית הספר היה מורה אחד לכל בית הספר. כ-30 בנים ובנות. It's funny, that's how it is in most schools today, huh? In the school, there was one teacher for 30 kids, 30 boys and girls. יום אחד בא אליי חברי יעקב בשליחות רב הקהילה בבקשת עצה. One day, my friend Yaakov comes to me as the chief rabbi of Chevron sent him to tell me, he asked me something. עומדים להניח אבן פינה לישיבה בקומה מעל בנייני הציבור. They're about to lay the cornerstone make a groundbreaking ceremony for the yeshiva on the higher level of the building of where other communal affairs for the Jews was taking place. Now this is really interesting over here. לטקס מוזמנים נכבדים מירושלים וחברון. For this ceremony, honorary people are being invited from Yerushalayim and Chevron. Who does that include? Ubahem shnei harabanim harashim, the two chief rabbis, Rav Kook and the Rishon LeZion Rav Meir Zatzal. Moshel Mechoz Yerushalayim, the governor of the district of Yerushalayim, the Moshel Chevron, the governor of Chevron, Rosh Ha'ir v'nichbadim acherim, the mayor of Chevron, v'nichbadim acherim, and other honorary people. Now, what's the problem with this statement, with this bakasha? For us, right, in hindsight, like if we're looking at this, who was invited to this Evan Pina? So you have the tzaddikim, the rabbanim harashim, beseder, we get it. But the governor of Chevron, his name is not Yankele, and his name is not Pinchasel. His name was probably Mustafa or Abdul, and he was a Merusha. But they had to invite them out of, of course, doing the politically correct thing, but this was a crazy thing. So he'll get back to it in a second. This Yitzchak Bon continues, and he says, הכנתי שלט הנושא את הכתובת ברוכים הבאים, עטור ענפים מאילני סרק, כשער כבוד בכניסה לרחוב. I put a big, nice sign, ברוכים הבאים, with a bunch of trees and a bunch of leaves, and to make it really look nice. And I put it as like a shar kavod, this gate in the entrance to the street where our building it was on. Lo yishru li la'anicho barachov. They didn't allow me, they didn't enable me to put this sign on the street. Why? Ze'alu la'argiz ta'aravim, it would make the Arabs angry. Amarti she'eseh shar kavod gam neged da'atam al achrayuti. But I told them, sorry, it's on me. They get angry, they'll get angry at me. I'm still putting this out there. Basof matzanu pshara, at the end we compromised. Hekamnu oto, we put this sign of Bruchim Habayim, karov lechatzer beit hasefer, close to the courtyard of the school, darko yikansu ha'orochim, through which the guests would come through. Tafarti degel im haktovet Talmud Torah Chevron. I sewed up a flag with it saying on there Talmud Torah Chevron, and that's the picture I think that we saw before. Can we go back to that picture for a second of the kids with the Talmud Torah Chevron sign? Yeah, this Yitzchak Bon says, I prepared this myself with that sign on. Okay, now let's go back to the text. This was the only flag, the only banner at the whole ceremony. I prepared the students for such an occasion. They came dressed up in Shabbos clothes. ועמדו בשתי שורות בצידי השער. They lined up in 2 rows in the entrance to the gate where people would walk in. הכנתי אותם לקבל את האורחים בשירה. I prepared them with nigunim to receive the guests with song. And then he says, השיר הראשון היא תחזקנה בהופעת האורחים. I don't know what the song that is. ובסיום המעמד התקווה. And then afterwards they would sing התקווה. האימהות באו לחזות בכבוד ילדיהן. The mothers came to witness the covet of their children. There was no covet to them. It was all, they were so down and low and feeling so on the bottom. So he says the mothers came and finally it was like that moment of nacha, seeing their children in their element. ייתכן שהן ראו את ילדיהן בפעם הראשונה במסדר חגיגי. It could be this the first time they saw their children in any form of in a celebration mode. מגיע להן לראות פעם נחת מילדיהן. They deserve to see nachas from their children. בהופעה בציבור, as performing in public. חיכינו לאורחים, and we waited for the guests to come. ראשונה באו הרבנים הראשיים. First, the chief rabbis came. הכרתי את הרבנים. הרב הראשי, הראשון לציון, בשומר ראשו הכבש לפניו, בבגדי השרד שלו. So the chief rabbi and his bodyguard came with their royal garments. And then Rav Kook behadro haishi, then Rav Kook walks in with the glow, the regal appearance of Rav Kook walks in. Natati ot lizdakef velashir. I told the kids, I gave them the sign, yalla, we're about to start singing. Ha'imaot hezilu dma'ot merov simcha. The mothers began weeping from happiness. Rav ha'keila v'ziknei ha'eda hikbilu et pnei ha'orchim. The rabbi of the community of Bajayo and the elders of the community received all the guests. After the chief rabbis came into the hall where it was taking place, we waited a bit more. And then the guests that we were forced to invite came. Moshel Yerushalayim Ba'ashar, the governor of Yerushalayim at the time, and the governor of Chevron, the mayor of Chevron came in. Ramasti leiladim la'amod bishtika. I hinted to the kids, okay, now just be silent. Don't sing for them. Don't do anything for them. Just stand silent. Ani italamti. I ignored the entrance of these people. התלמידים שלי לא יקבלו את פני המושל שונא ישראל ופמלייתו בשירה. לא לפי הוראותיי. I will not instruct my students to receive the governor who was a Sonei Israel and his whole entourage to greet them with singing. לי לא אכפת אם יפגעו מזה. I don't care if they get insulted by this. קרוב לוודאי שלא ידעו שהילדים שרו כבר לכבוד הרבנים הראשיים. And also, they probably won't even be aware of the fact that when the chief rabbis walked in, they weren't there for that, the governors. They won't even know that when the chief rabbis walked in, they were greeted with song. I'm not singing for them, and my children, my students will not be singing for these people. I want to explain for a second. These people, the Moshel Yerushalayim, Moshel Chevron at the time, and that whole Chevron were directly responsible for the murder of so many Yidden. This is not like a racist thing. This is pashut me'od, people with Jewish blood on their hands. So he says, second to bottom line, אני גמרתי את תפקידי ונתתי הוראות לילדים להתפזר. הסתיים מסדר הכבוד לכבוד האורחים. I gave the notice, and then the whole thing was over. So this is 1933. This is the last time, as far as we know, that Rav Kook visited Chevron on this day in the summer of 1933. It's not the last time Rav Kook speaks about Chevron, but it's the last visit that Rav Kook has to the city of Chevron. So what ends up happening? What ends up happening over here? So this is again very painful, but it'll explain for us a bit. It'll give us a broader picture of what was going on back then. In April of 1936, something began. It was called Me'oraot Tafresh Tzadik Vav till Tafresh Tzadik Tet, I believe, which is basically 3 years of rioting from April 1936 until somewhere in 1939. I don't know exactly when. You know, when Rav Kahana Zatzal would give when he would many times in his speeches, he would always say, like, what was bothering the Arab people in Eretz Yisrael in 1929 and 1936? Was it the occupation, the occupation which happened in 1967? What was bothering them then? What was bothering them then? In April 1936, riots erupt in an area of Yafo and Tel Aviv. And I think in the course of a day or two, there were 9 Jews were killed and 54 were injured badly. So the question was, as things were beginning to get really crazy again, do the Jews of Chevron wait for a repeat of 1929 or not? So I'm still searching for the answer as to, did they ask Rav Kook what to do? And I'd be very, very thankful to anyone that could answer that question for me. Did the Jews then send a bakasha to Rav Kook or to the other chief rabbi, Rav Meir, to asking what to do? I don't know. But we do have testimony from someone very interesting. Shimon, if you could go down to the last picture I sent you to post. This is a very interesting person. This person over here is a Yid named Yaakov Pat. As you know about Somet Pat. Who's Yaakov Pat? This is a Yid that's born in Lodz in 1894. And he grows up in a very Zionist family. And in 1913, he already makes Aliyah. He comes to Eretz Yisrael together with one of his good friends. This was the Aliyah Hashniya that took place in 1913. And he ends up he joins the group HaShomer, and he goes to serve in all these different places. And he joins the Haganah in 1921. And in the years 1931 to 1940, this Yaakov Pat is the Mefaked Machoz Yerushalayim. So he was mamash very busy and involved during the establishment of the state. He plays a very crucial role. I also saw that between the years 1940 and 1946, he becomes like the head, like the chaver of the Matea Klali of the Haganah, and the mefaked of all southern Israel. And he played a very big role in the distribution of weapons and of food to Yerushalayim and to all the settlements that were in that area during the War of Independence. He plays a very, very big role, and he passed away in June of 1956. And then he also played a role in Misrad HaBitachon, in the Office of Security, the Security Department. He did a lot of things this year. A lot of things. He's buried in Kfar Giladi up north. And he goes to Chevron in 1936 as these riots begin, and he leaves us testimony as well as to what was going on. So again, I don't know what happened with Rav Kook over here, and that's a missing link that I really want to understand if there was any correspondence at that time. So this is the beginning of the riots, 1936. He says like this: In bo'id Yerushalayim, נסענו לבקר בחברון, ומצאתי שם לא יותר מ-25 משפחות עבריות. בשנה זו היו ליתר דיוק 37 משפחות. So he says, I saw maybe 20 or 25 families there, but really there were 37 families living there. באמצעות מר יצחק בן צבי מהוועד הלאומי, הוקם קשר ישיר ביני לבין הרב חיים בז'איו. Yitzchak Ben Tzvi connects me, Yaakov Pat is saying, to the chief rabbi, the one that reestablished the Yishuv in 1931. And Rav Chaim B'Zhayo she'ityaches b'havana l'inyan ha'agana v'azar li. Rav Chaim B'Zhayo had no inyan of saying, let's all become martyrs. He wanted to protect Jewish life. And he was very cooperative with the Chevra that from the Haganah that were really helping as much as they can any security issues. מדי בואו לירושלים לקבלת התמיכה מהוועד הלאומי, היה הרב בא אליי ומוסר לי על הנעשה ושומע מה בפי. The Rav would come to Yerushalayim, he would come and see me there, and he would tell me what's going on in Chevron, and he would listen what I think too. תוכנית ההגנתה של קהילת חברון הייתה פשוטה ביותר. So the plan to protect the city of Chevron, the קהילה of Chevron, was very simple. והתבטאה בכך שבשעת סכנה היה על אנשים להתרכז בבית הרב. And their basic plan was that in times of danger, whoever was there, all the Jews that were there, should come and congregate in the house of Rav Bajayo. בבית הכנסת הוכן מחסן סתר, מתחת לאדני החלון הרחבים. It's amazing. He says, in the shul, there was this hidden warehouse, which was placed hidden storage, which were placed right beneath the windows, the wide windows of the shul. ובו הוטבנו בפחים, and there were like these bins there, and we placed there 10 כלים קטנים, 10 small weapons, 30 רימונים, 30 grenades, וארגז עזרה ראשונה, and a first aid kit. בימי מתיחות נבי מוסא, that was the beginning of when things got really crazy. היינו שולחים לחברון תגבורת בצורת בצורת קבוצה בת 10-15 איש. We would send 10-15 חבר'ה from the Haganah to go and help out. בתחילת המאורעות, but in the beginning of these riots in April 1936, נשלח לשם גדליה אלון, שמונה על ידי כמפקד ועמו 8 אנשים. We sent down Gedalia Alon, who I appointed as mefaked, together with 8 people, asher nishar sham ad pinui. So you see what happens. He stayed with them until they were evacuated. Now, I want us to understand that this has very big significance. This is a very, very crucial moment over here. Beleil ha-23 לאפריל, the night of April 23rd, 1936, 4 ימים לאחר שנפלו ראשוני החללים באותן המאורעות, 4 days after the first Yidden were killed in those riots. This is in Tel Aviv, but it started spreading all over the country. בחשכת הלילה, ממש in the middle of the night, פינו השלטונות הבריטים את היישוב היהודי מחברון. They completely evacuated. The British mandate completely evacuated the Jewish settlement of Chevron. משהוחלט לפנות את העיר, and from the moment it was decided to evacuate the city from Yidden, סגרו אנשי חברון את בית הכנסת, they closed the shul, ומסרו את המפתח למושל במקום, and they gave the key to the local governor at the time. Why? בחושבם כי העזיבה אינה אלא זמנית, because they were under the impression that they're only leaving temporarily. המושל הזמין אמנם כמה שוטרים לשמירה על הרכוש. Yeah, the governor had certain cops come and guard the property. אולם לאחר שהמקום נעזב, but after the place was left, פרצו הערבים לבתים ובזזו אותם. The Arabs came to those houses of the Yidden that left temporarily, and they destroyed it, they looted it, they did what they did also in 1929. ממקורות ערבים נודע כי מחסן הנשק נתגלה. They also found out about the weapons that were stored in the hidden storage in the shul. וכי הערבים דרשו להעמיד את הרב חיים בז'איו לדין בעוון החזקת נשק. They wanted to persecute, they wanted to put him on trial, the chief rabbi, for holding weapons illegally. This is the end of his testimony. And I want us to understand, this is April 1936. For the next 31 years, no Jew is in Chevron till 1967. No Jew is in Chevron. So this is already happening. 1936 means Rav Kook already died the year before, so we already answered the question that they couldn't have asked Rav Kook because he was already nifter. So this is a picture of, this is the last picture we have, I believe, of Jews leaving Chevron. Maybe it was the Chevra of the Haganah that were about to leave Chevron. And for 31 years, Chevron is desolate of Yidden. So Rav Kook's plea and crying did not, it wasn't enough at the time to wake up the Am and say, we must do whatever we can to make sure that the Ruach of Kalev ben Yefuna is still here and is still strong and is still chazak. But it was through Rav Kook and the or of his son, Rav Tzvi Yehuda, and his Talmidim and his students, which we'll learn about next week, that we did come back to Chevron in 1967, clearly from the light of the Torah of Rav Kook and his son, Rav Tzvi Yehuda. So the connection between the Tzaddik and Rav Kook is still very much alive until today. Next week will most probably be our last segment, and I'm very much looking forward to it as well. I'm very torn about as to how I feel about what's today. So Baruch Hashem, we know there's a beautiful Jewish community in Chevron, and some of our best friends are living there. But on a level of awareness of the Am and the demand from the Am that the properties which were purchased legally in 1807 and in 1811, that should be even anything that is under any form of dispute is ludicrous. It's crazy. The whole mitziyut there is crazy. But I know and I believe so strongly that with the influx, with the incoming of gathering of exiles, and so many passionate Jewish and proud Jews coming back home now, that the Ruach of the Am will reawaken again, and that what happened in 1936, in April 1936, will never, ever, ever happen again. And there will always be Jewish presence in Chevron, Le'ol Me'ad, and the Jews there should live peacefully and safely. Next week, we're going to see something amazing about the last 2 days of Rav Kook's life regarding the city of Chevron. Have a wonderful day, Chevra. Be strong, safe, besimcha, and we will see you tonight at Parsha Shir at 8:30.